Okay, so it looks like we're recording. Okay, so let me share my screen with you really quickly, and we can start from the class. So I'm going to share my screen. It says my desktop. Okay, it looks like we've got all this stuff here. I'm going to bring this up, click play, and okay. So we're talking about how to work with renters, especially in these uncertain times. And really, it's about working with any type of lead, whether it's a buyer, renter, seller, investor, all that kind of stuff. It's about, how can you currently do what you need to do in order to get, clients, maintain relationships, go through the process of requesting showings, even setting up properties. Especially in this time. And really, this class is more about us having a dialogue back and forth to answer any questions that you may have, or I may have to ask you guys of what you're seeing in the market as well. But just moving forward, this class is really about working with renters. So I'm one of the principals in Rent Philly, which is part of the condo shop team, and I'm the director of rentals for the condo shops at Keller Williams. And we represent, actually, this isn't inaccurate, it used to be $2 billion. Now we actually represent over $3 billion in property value for rentals alone. We have over 10,000 exclusive apartments in the city that we represent. And here's some of the stuff that our team does, where we represent just a fraction of what's currently out there. Some of these buildings you may know, some of them you may gone into or walk by, but all of these are on the MLS. They also all co-broker with brokers and agents, meaning that you can request a tour from Bright for your clients. We're happy to help expedite that showing and then work with you and your client, if you'd like, all the way from tour to close, and get you paid as soon as possible. And then actually, so the next stuff is just really talking about, the average rental rates that we have in the city, which is about on average about $1,500 a month. And if you are representing the tenant, you're making about $750 before splits and taxes. And on a $1,500 a month rental, it equates to about $18,000 in terms of your GCI, right? Your sales volume of what Keller Williams Philadelphia and Keller Williams in general considers your sales volume. So if you had a $300,000 sale for a condo or a townhouse, for example, that's $300,000 that goes under your GCI. For rentals, how do you account for sales and tracking that so it adds to your numbers, your annual numbers? Well, KW takes the formula of $1,500, which is your monthly rental rate, multiply it by 12, which will then give you the months, 12 months worth of rent. And so the 12 months worth of rent is equal to 18,000. So that 18,000 adds into your GCI. So if you look at 300,000 versus 18,000, it doesn't seem like a lot, right? Why work with renters? Well, it's a big discussion that we've had in our classes and stuff like that. And really get you into the grind. Renters turn into buyers, and they will, right? So for us and for all of you guys, you can generate more rental leads than you can buyer leads, even in today's climate, right? Even in COVID, even when you can't physically tour something, you can advertise, you can put on social media, you can put on Craigslist, you can advertise properties that are currently for rent. If you don't have listings, reach out to me and we will find some listings that our team has that I will let you, advertise appropriately, being RESPA compliant, meaning that you're following all the rules and regulations for advertising real estate that's not yours. Happy to do that as well. But the question is at the last question here on this sheet is, are renters a waste of your time? And basically, renters are your 401k plan. And because they turn into buyers and they turn into sellers and they will turn into investors. So obvious question is, what do you do? How do you change your mindset about working with renters, right? If you take out 10 renters versus 10 buyers, 10 buyers has the potential of having more commission than a renter would, right? 10 renters, you may only rent to one or two of them by taking them out. 10 buyers, even if you take out 10 buyers and one of them closes, for example, That's a significant amount of commission that you're making from that one transaction versus taking the same amount of time and care and effort cultivating that rental lead. The reason is you need to qualify your leads faster for renters, right? You're only taking those out that have the highest probability that you're going to rent to them. It's not just that when you get a rental lead and they're inquiring about a specific property, that you're going to take them and have them tour that one specific property. That's a misnomer. That's false. The goal is to show them 5 to 7 properties that meet their expectations, not just for the one property they inquired about or advertised to, or that, you know, someone gave you a rental lead and they're looking to rent this one property and you're going to reach out to them. The goal is to maximize your effort to be a trusted advisor for real estate, so that when you are physically with them, they're able to ask you questions and you're able to engage with them so that you can provide sound wisdom. Everybody can have knowledge, right? What's better to have, knowledge or wisdom? I always say that wisdom is more important, and you only gain that through experience, through knowledge, from taking out people, so that you're really taking out leads that are the highest quality to rent, right? Why take a renter out that's looking to move in September, where no matter what you actually tour is not going to be available for them to rent in September? It's too far out, right? I have no idea what's coming available in September. Most of the properties in Philadelphia that have leases, that have, you know, things that are expiring, will expire, or rather the owner asks their tenant 90 days before the end of the lease, are they planning to move or renew? Then that renter has 30 days to make up their mind and then notify the tenant or the landlord. So that's 60 days before the end of the lease. The owner will know when that property is available to rent. So for right now, we're in May. So we've got June, July. So basically July 1st, we probably know what's available and what's going to be available to rent, but we have no idea for August. I have no idea for September. Why would you take a renter that's looking to move in September around to see 10 properties, 15 properties, 20 properties, when the most likelihood that you'll rent to them is really drops down unless they are ready to go within that 60-day time frame? So the question is, you know, I don't know any other business other than a hospital, for example, excluding current times, where your client has a 50-50 chance of doing some type of real estate transaction within 12 months. Now, if you get a rental lead without even talking to them, you know this one specific statistic right off the bat. You have no idea who they are, right? They're currently renting. 50-50 chance that they're going to stay in place or they're going to move. Given that opportunity, wouldn't you want to be able to work with someone that you know has a 50-50 chance, without them even knowing you, without them even hearing who you are? You know that they have a 50-50 chance of moving or renewing. That's a pretty amazing statistic. That's something that a lot of people don't look at. So if you have a buyer, will you ask, and you're working with a buyer, what's the percentage that they're going to purchase within 12 months or less than that? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what those statistics are. There's too many variables. Or a seller, are they planning to sell or purchase within 12 months or less than that? Maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years. But with a renter, 50-50 right off the bat. So question to you guys, and I'd like it if you could unmute yourself for this, but the question is who is most likely to rent with you if they are saying to you that I need to move in 90 plus days, right? I need to move in September or October, or I need to move in August. I need to move in July. I need to move June 1st. Who is the most likely probable person that you're going to rent to? Now, Bobby Sethi, who's on this call as part of our team, I'm going to ask him not to actually answer this, because I've talked about this all the time. It's not a trick question, right? So if somebody needs to move 30 days or less, they call you, I'm like, I need help. I got to move. Can you send me anything that's, $2,000 for a 1-bedroom in Center City? And you think, oh, that's awesome. That's great. Or somebody that's like, well, I'm 30, 60 days. I've already given notice. Can you help me out? $2,000, 1-bedroom, or 60 to 90 days. Same question in 90 plus days. 2,000, Center City, 1-bedroom. What do you guys think? Can anyone give a response or unmute yourself?
I think 60 to 90 days is the timeline for a good qualified renter. Yeah.
Okay. And why do you say that, Jennifer?
I think it gives you a little bit more time to build a relationship with them, which locks them in longer term if they're going to consider buying down the line. They get to know you. Also gives you a little bit more availability to see what is coming on the market, what to expect, and a little bit more to show them that they might not have seen if they were in such a hurry in a smaller amount of time.
That's a very good thought process. One is the idea of having them think that they're going to buy further down the line. I found that with the amount of leads and renters that we're working with our team and stuff like this, if you immediately get into them, the question is always about, hey, why are you renting rather than buying, right? But if you're getting in right there to turn them from a renter directly into a buyer, where there are a lot of email campaigns and drip campaigns. When you get a rental lead, a lot of agents don't want to work with them, so they'll send them out something that's just, hey, it's better to buy. So and just keep sending mortgage rates and stuff like that. They tend to, they have an immediate need to rent, and here you are giving them something where they have to spend potentially 3 times as much money for that real estate transaction. So I would always focus on their immediate needs for the rental stuff, but be there for, for their, any questions that they have in real estate, whether it's buy, sell, rent, or invest, it doesn't matter, because one contact can lead to 7 other potential contacts or referrals from that one person, because you want to be that trusted source. So when they think real estate, they'll think Jennifer, and then they'll pass your information on to anybody else that they may have. Anybody else? So we've got 1 vote for 60 to 90 days. Oh, okay. Well, let's go over this. So 10% chance of renting to someone that's 30 days or less, no matter how many properties you tour, right? So it's 30 days or less here. If it's 30 days or less, somebody reaches out to you, you have a 10% chance of renting to this lead, no matter how many properties you go out and tour. You go out and tour 1, you go out and tour 10, you go out and tour 20, because they are frantic and they need a place. They need to find a place. 10% chance. So what is that really worth? Is it worth something? Now granted, 10% chance, and somebody's looking for a $1,500 rental or a $2,000 rental. I normally tell my agents, if it's 30 days or less, the likelihood that you'll rent to them is this 10% chance. But what is have you qualified them? What is their future goal? So they don't know the area. They've lost out. They've missed out on some properties. Was their credit bad? Why did they wait so long? What were the issues behind it before I'm going to go out and immediately take them out and think, oh, 30 days, no problem, they're going to rent with me. It's like, I want to make sure that I'm qualifying, I'm interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me. And especially in the time, with COVID, most people aren't moving 30 days or less right now, right? You can't get evicted currently for not paying rent, for example, which is a possibility, right? And what about movers? If somebody needs to move now, it's 60, 90 days. It could be even longer, where they're on a month-to-month lease now, when they had to move previously during COVID, or, as things are shutting down. So now the idea is to stay in contact with them, right, through Zoom meetings and calls. I'm telling you, when I call my lead list, it's amazing how many of them actually pick up and are happy to talk to me, because I'm not in their immediate sphere of family and immediate friends. It's somebody from the outside. We can talk about, yes, their real estate needs and their searches, but we can also talk, hey, what are you seeing out on the streets? What's the supermarket like? What are you guys doing to stay, engaged and not feel, confined? So it's a way to really empathize with them, because you're going through the same thing that they are. They have to move. You probably don't have to move, but we're in the business, and we see what's going on and what other people have done. So we're able to help alleviate their stress, some of their worries and stuff like that. So some statistics on this 30 days or less renter with that 10% chance. If all of your rental leads that you have 10 rental leads that are 30 days or less at the average rate of $1,500, you're spending 30 hours total, qualifying leads, taking them out to tour. You're making basically $25 an hour, because out of the 10 leads you take out, one's going to rent with you. So that's $750 for the 30 hours that you've spent. But that's before taxes and splits and whatever you owe to the market center, or if it's a referral, what you owe to the other person, $25 an hour. So the proper answer, and Jennifer, you were right, is 60 to 90 days. And the reason is that the tenant, the renter, the lead has most likely not yet made a decision to move or renew, right? So they're in that time frame where they're going to let the landlord know if they're planning to move or renew. And it gives you enough time to where there's not immediacy on the renter's needs, 30 days or less to move and all frantic. It's not the 30 to 60 days to where they've already given notification and you know that they're already out on Zillow and Truly and HotPads and Zillow and Zumper, apartments.com, realtor. I mean, I could just name it all, plus all the other real estate websites or brokers' websites that they're on and searching for stuff, right? That's 60 to 90 days. It most likely just started their search or curiosity, right? So another statistic is you have a 50 to 70% chance of renting, closing a transaction when you have that person that is, or that team or the clients that are 60 to 90 days out, right? Because for all of the tours that you tour, you're going to have and you're touring 5 to 7 properties on average, right? You want to hone in. You don't want a list of 20 properties that you're going to go out and tour. That's like menu overload. Like if anybody's Greek on this call, this is not a Greek thing or whatever, but if you go to a Greek restaurant, or not a diner, how about that, a Greek diner, that menu, there's like 500 choices on that menu. And it takes my wife, well, she already knows almost immediately what she wants, but it takes me forever to pick what I want. Do I want a gyros or do I want waffles or do I want, a steak? There's so many choices. It actually takes so much longer for me to figure out what I'm going to order. So it's called what's called menu fatigue. Is that renter that you took out, are they going to remember property number 18? Are they going to remember the third property that they toured when they're, going through that whole day and you're coordinating everything? That 20 properties will take you more probably than a day to be able to go out and tour. 5 to 7 properties will allow you on average about 2 hours for touring. And that means that for me, I always want to have 3 clients that I take out on a single day if it's my touring day. So I've got, 2, 4, 6 hours, which is almost, a full workday of out there with leads that are most likely to close. And when I mean by 5 to 7 properties, if you're going to an apartment building that may have 50 units or 300 or 1,000 units, a property is one address that can have multiple apartments or multiple units in it. You may tour 3 apartments at 1425 Locust Street, which is the ARIA building, but the ARIA building is considered one property. So the goal is to show 5 to 7 properties, and you'll have the highest chance of closing because it's easier to remember the units or the properties that they've toured that are 7 or less than 20 or 18 or 19, right? So, and then a little bit of the statistics. Remember the other one, the 30 days, your dollars per hour was $25 at the bottom. Now, if you're closing 50 to 70% and you take out 10 rental leads with this same amount of tours, same amount of time, but let's say only 5 of those 10 rent, look at your dollar per hour now before splits. Now it's $125. And it's because you've taken the time to qualify those leads and know that your time is valuable. If somebody's looking for $1,000, 1-bedroom apartment and they need to see 15 properties and they've got 30 days or less, that's your decision to take them out. Or if you've got somebody that's 60 to 90 days, $1,000 for 1 bedroom, you've got time to send them properties and to whittle that list down to what's the most likely that they're going to want to see. Are they going to go out to even $1,500 renter or $5,000 renter? Are they going to want to go to Fishtown, Queen Village, University City, Art Museum area? What is it about these neighborhoods? And it's even for buyers. What about these, and sellers, buyers, what about these neighborhoods? Do they want to do it? Is it because of the photographs and what's in the photo and what's at the building, the amenities, the type of stuff that's in the unit that attracts them to it, and so they don't care about the location? Or does location have something to do with it where it's following maybe public transit lines and they like the transit side but they will, they're looking at the units. It's really about this good qualifying these leads to the best of your ability, the same way you would do a buyer, the same way you would set up a bright alert for a buyer. You'll set up bright alerts for renters to be as specific as possible. Send them, would you send them 200 potential rental properties, in an email blast or something like that from Bright, or 15 to 20 properties that meet their specific criteria? Because remember, renters have the lowest rate of closing of any type of lead because most of the agents that are working with them haven't qualified them enough. So I'd rather have somebody say, I want to see these 5 to 7 properties. I've qualified them as well as I can, and then take them out, rather than send them 500 properties, 200 properties, have them pick 17. And then I have to go through that list and figure out what is, viable. But no, they just want to see 17 properties. It's $1,500. I know it's not going to take 2 hours. It'll take 5 hours. Maybe this is a lead that I would consider referring out, handing off to somebody else, because I'm very aware of what my, dollars per hour time is. I'm worth $125 an hour. I'm not worth $25 an hour. I know what my worth is. And I know that out of all the renters, I'd rather be qualifying those that are at that 125 range all day long. So then I can focus my efforts on the buyers, on the sellers, right? On the investor side. So just to let you know about the probabilities, does anybody know on this chart, we talked about that 30 days or less. We talked about the 90 days. Why is the 90 plus days about the same probability as 30 to 60 days? And even if we get out to 120 days, the probability will actually be down towards that 13–12%. Does anybody know why it's actually going down the farther out? Somebody needs to move from when they contact you. No? Well, I'll tell you, it's because the agents, one, don't have KW command. But it's because they don't have the ability to remember to reach out to those leads and to provide valuable information. Anything that you'd send from Bright, if you set up a Bright alert right now for somebody that needs to move in September, and you put the availability date in your search, right, when it's available to move into as September 1st, what you're going to end up getting is everything that is now up to September 1st. But if you're smart, you put in you may put in August 1st to September 1st, right? I only want to send stuff that's available, that if we go out and tour, maybe that thing has been on the market since August 1st. And, I'm going out and touring and stuff like that. Maybe it's been 30 days vacant by the time we get out and tour. But if you send that property alert from Bright that is August 1st to September 1st, how many properties do you think will be actually sent out to them on a daily basis? Well, 0. Because nothing is on the market now for August. And why would you send them properties that are available now, for example, for a September 1st? Would you want to do it because you're letting them know what the market rate is for the type of property they're looking for? So hopefully they can see what their dollars will get them. Well, on a daily basis, not so much. That's going to be too much. It'll be, they won't take it as valuable information. That's just knowledge. It's not wisdom. Send it out initially, yes. So they've got a whole thing. Maybe set up the Bright alert so that it sends it out once a week. Maybe once every 2 weeks. Maybe once a month until you get there. But most agents aren't doing this. Most agents are not following up with those leads because there isn't a system in place for them to be able to do so, to put a reminder. One of the best things that I found, that even if you don't have KW command, or you're not using Excel spreadsheet, I don't know how many of you guys use, Siri or an iPhone or whatever the Microsoft or the Google Pixel thing is for the assistant, but you say, hey, Siri, remind me in, August 1st to reach out to X, Y, and Z lead. That's a pretty good reminder. Or set up hey, Siri, create a calendar event for August 1st at, 12 p.m., call blah, 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 blah. So there's great ways of being able to do it, but most realtors don't do it. That's why these numbers, where's my mouse? Oh, I don't know where my mouse is. Anyways, well, why it's coming down like that. So proper lead qualifying procedure. You guys ever heard of 10 days of pain? Where you call on the first day, you text on the first day, you email the first day, Then, you know, on the day 2, you do the same thing over for 10 days. It's like nonstop until you hear from them. What about the 8x8 or 33 touch campaign, right? These are KW campaigns that Michael and Will may have discussed, Vicky may have discussed, or other, you know, instructors. You know, 8x8 is basically a way to prep someone for a 33 touch campaign. It's like once a week, you're going to do something for 8 weeks. 33 touch campaign is 33, you know, individual touches, a call, a text, an email, a flyer, or something over 12 months. You know, light touches, this is an example of a 33 touch campaign. You know, in April, I'm going to send out a newsletter, a letter from the heart. In May, here's a newsletter, and you know, I'm getting ready for a Memorial Day card that's going to go out. And in June, look at the last one that I have here on the screen for June. What am I doing for my July 4th stuff? I'm planning in June to send out a postcard. And these are for your clients. These are for your past clients. These are for people that you have an email, you know, a physical address. You're going to do mailers and that kind of stuff. None of these things work with renters. It's more of like you need to have a hodgepodge of stuff put together to be able to affect a great change. So the 10 days of pain aren't going to work really for qualifying these leads, of getting them there. 8x8, 33 won't work. So you have to qualify the rental lead in a different way than a buyer lead. And it's basically, it requires a very intensive process until the first direct contact is made. And a direct contact is a two-way communication with that lead. It's not a direct contact that they've requested more information. They sent you an email and said, let's say, Kyla, hi Kyla, I'm interested in this property at 123 Main Street. Is there any parking available? And you reply back. And then, whether it's your property or not, right? You find it on Bright, you reach out, and it's not your listing. Who cares? You're going to give them the information, and then nothing happens. It's not a first contact. It's not a direct contact. It's actually having that two-way conversation where they're asking, you're asking, and you're providing that detailed information, and it's going back and forth. So it's an email, it's a text message, it's a call, I wouldn't say it's a voicemail. It could be even carrier pigeon in today's environment. Wouldn't that be great? They brought back carrier pigeons. That'd be great. If you guys have balconies or whatever, you just put a note on and fly it out there. Well, that'd be great. I actually think it's illegal in Philadelphia to have carrier pigeons or pigeon racing, but you know, it's having that two-way conversation. And so you need to keep that 10 days of pain actually ends up being 90 days of pain. You're multiplying that 10 days of pain by 9. And remember that 10 days of pain, where was it? It was call, email, text, all in one day, and do that for 10 days. That's not it. That just won't work. So for renters, it is a 90-day drip campaign. And good thing is, guys, I've got a 90-day drip campaign that I will give to you guys at the end of the class. And I will give you my email address. If you can send me your contact information, I'll send, you know, a PDF version of it, and you can actually put it into KW Command. And if you wanted to, or whatever other system that you have, there's emails, there's calls, there's text messages. It's all set up for 90 days, and you let it go. You let the system work for you until they have a response back, right? So this 90-day call alert, you need that intensive campaign. You know, you've got somebody that's inquiring about 1420 Locust Street, this MLS number, for example. They request more information, you know, and they ask for a time. They want to tour it. No other information provided. You know, what do you do? Anybody? Is this a first contact? Is this a direct contact? Okay, how about this? I'm not going to move on to the next slide until someone gives me a right or wrong answer. It doesn't matter. You can yell out the color red if you want. That's fine. Okay. I'm going to yell out the color red. Red, 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 red. Okay. So, so I'll move on to the next one. So it's just an inquiry, right? It's just what we had said. It's just inquiring, right, about that specific property. But if there's a phone number, call the lead ASAP. I mean, call the lead. We're dying right now. Okay, that's a bad word to say, dying. We are hoping someone is going to call us that's not our immediate friends and family, right? So right now, I'm currently like walking my dog 10 times a day to get outside, like 10 days. or 10 times a day. And literally he is on top of the kitchen cabinets, not coming down because he knows he's going out for another walk, right? He doesn't want to come down. But people want to talk, and they want to talk about what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. If there's a lead and there's a phone number, call them, text them, email them, right? So, and also immediately, if you have never qualified this lead yet, you don't know when they need to move in any way, shape, or form, set up a bright alert. Don't go into KW Command and set up neighborhood alerts and property alerts. It's not there yet for rentals. It's not there to send them, apartments and stuff like that. What is ready and available are bright alerts. And one of the first times that I taught this class, someone had said to me that they're a newer agent, but they have a friend who has a building that has 14 units, and every year that he lets them, put on the MLS and rent them out. So he has to fill 14 units, and on average, 4 to 6 of them have to be rented, right? Most of the tenants are renewing. It says 4 to 6 of them have to, rent out a year. But he goes, my God, like this year I got 600 rental leads for this. And these units are like, one bedrooms at the $2,000 to $2,500 range. And he's like, I have to set up alerts for these people. I'm like, what, you mean you didn't set up property alerts? He goes, no, my goal is just to get them into that property and rent to them. And I'm like, well, what did you do with the 600 leads that you never talked to that didn't rent the property? Because, oh, well, nothing, because I got my places rented. Like, okay. I'm like, so we're entrepreneurs, right? We catch what we kill. We're only able to collect money, right? If we've closed a transaction. 600 rental leads at $2,000 to $2,500 a month, and you didn't set up bright alerts. What do you think would have happened if you set up bright alerts for those 600 leads? I said to him. He's like, that's a lot of work. You mean for nobody? For people I've never talked to and don't know anything about? I'm like, yeah. He goes, no, I don't think so. I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm thinking he's not going to be in real estate next year. And this is before COVID, before any of that stuff, right? If it was so easy, everybody would be doing it. Everyone would be a realtor. Everyone would be doing this full time. Everybody would see what's on Facebook is completely real from a realtor's life, right? Oh, I'm partying, I'm touring properties. Isn't this great? Let me tell you, I hate going on tours. I hate looking at, going into properties and apartments and stuff like that. Like, that's not my thing, right? One thing I have to tell you right off the bat is, so yes, I'm a realtor, but I'm one of the owners and one of the, in Redfield in the condo shops. My goal is to generate leads and to run the multifamily portfolio for our business. So when I say I don't want to go out and tour, that's me personally, right? But before all of this, I was a realtor, and I did go out and tour, and I did close, and my capture ratio was somewhere in the 83% range, meaning that everyone that I took out, 83% of the time I rented to them, which is, I've been doing this since I've been 17 years old for rentals. I want nothing to do with sales. I want nothing to do with buyers. And I'll tell you why at the end of this class in a little bit, but I've honed the skills in, so I'm, qualifying nonstop. If you do not set up these bright property alerts, those 600 people that are inquiring, remember that first statistic I showed you at the beginning of the class, move or renew statistic, 50-50 chance? Right there, 300 out of the 600 are going to move or do a transaction in real estate in 12 months. And they've reached out to that one agent. Out of that 300 people, if you were to qualify 100 of them out of the 300, and then you only took out 30 of those people, right? You got 300, you set up 300 alerts, you talk to 100 of those people, you refine those alerts, you got the 30 of those 100 to go out and tour, so you're physically in front of them. You spend 2 hours with those 30 people, and you close to 15 of them. Now, I'm just getting out my calculator, right? And let's just say, 15 times 2,000, that's, can you guys see this? Is it reversed? That's $30,000, people, for just setting up a bright alert for, yes, it's 300 people. And my God, I want to go insane. But it's not all at once, but $30,000, you're not going to set up a bright alert for $30,000 before it splits in commissions. That's a what, 3%? That's $1 million sale. That's $1 million sale. 3%, you made 30,000 before splits. It's one client. Sure, I get it. You'd rather work with $1 million buyer. I got it. But guess what? when I was doing this, I was not excited about those that I closed, right? I had 15 that closed out of the 30 I took out. Out of the 100 that a lead pool that I was talking to, out of 300 people, what happened to the 200 people that never responded back to me, never heard from in any way, shape, or form, right? Out of the 300. That's 200 people never talked to anything. 100 that I did talk to, 30 I took out and toured, and 15 I rented. For all the people that I didn't rent from. So again, I'm terrible with numbers, so I'm going to do 300 people that I put in, right? So 300 I put in, and let's say minus 15, that's 285 people that I never heard, never did a transaction with. Guess what? In 12 months, those people are going to have to move or renew again. They'll have to have that decision. And in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, the average time that they stay in properties is about 2 years. So within 2 years, they're going to renew for the first year. And come second year, when their specials or whatever they got, a rent special, they can afford it the second year. But that third year with that rate for that rent hike, most of them are moving, right? So when you're qualifying these leads, and you're telling them you're going to tell these people in threes, right? You're going to call the lead, you're going to email the lead the property alert, and you're going to tell them that you called the lead. You're going to tell me you left them a voicemail. You're going to text the lead. So it's call, email, text for 90 days. And good thing is I've got that 90-day plan for you. You can set it up in command and let it just take off until they respond back to you. And basically, what is it all for, right? Because renters turn to buyers and sellers and investors. They do. And guess what? Most people, they're spending thousands of dollars on buyer leads from Zillow and all thousands of dollars, an insane amount of money. None of them are spending time to work with renters in the same way that they would with a buyer, right? Due care, diligence. You want to treat them the same way as you would your best friend, as your buyers as well. And what will happen is they will come back to you as a trusted advisor for their future stuff. If you get them as clients and trusted advisor, you're your trusted advisor before they become to buy. What are all these classes out there about? They're all about working with first-time home buyers, right? You've seen classes like this. Let's generate those leads, first-time home buyers. Well, what were they, or what are they now before they become first-time home buyers? They're all renters. They're all home renters before they become first-time home buyers. So I don't know if you saw this, but this next slide is, Maria Avalon. She's talking about the purpose of buying with renters and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I think on the Zoom call, the audio doesn't work on this. But what Maria would have said in this video is the fact that, and Maria's on our team, is that when she started, her first client was a renter, and she ended up not renting to that lead, but rented to the lead's mother, who then needed to sell her property. So she got a listing out of it. And then her mother's friend referred her to her other friends who had to sell. So working with renters, it's not about that one transaction is, I'm only going to make $725 on a split. It's not, and it's never about that one transaction. It's about having the mentality to think long-term that renter will rent again in 2 years, will then potentially rent again, or may end up buying as they keep going. So why renters are your 401k plan? Because it's a long-term lead that you've generated from their first initial, before they became home buyers. Now they're home buyers. Now they've sold. Now they've bought. Now they've sold. Then they have kids. Then they have to refer you out to them for their rental needs for the kids and their friends. And you've got them right at the get-go. I mean, how many of my friends are renters right now? I mean, it's an insane amount of people. Even when I was in college, we're all renters. Yes, working with college renters, you want to pull your hair out because you got 4 people looking for a 4-bedroom that doesn't exist because of Pennsylvania blue light laws. You can't have 4 unrelated people living in the same property and all stuff. But maybe you've got 3 renters and a 3-bedroom townhouse for $3,000. They've got friends and friends of friends, and it's about having conversations in real estate. Oop, let's see here. Okay, so renters on average move every 2 years, right? This is the statistics I was talking about, right? So let me just see, are we good on time? Yep. So renters on average move every 2 years. So year 1 to year 2, they're planning to move or renew. You know, in the 4th year, they're planning potentially to purchase, and in 9 years, you know, they may sell their home. If my mouse was working, I'd hover over that 4 and basically say, you know, your first-time home buyer is going to buy something in year 1, but now statistics are they're not going to sell for anywhere between 5 to potentially 9 years. So you're not going to have a transaction with that person for another 5 to 9 years. Well, that's okay. But these renters are going to have constant transactions going on and referrals going on, and renters and the transactions from renters, the commissions actually cover your operations in real estate. It could potentially cover your Bright fees, your MLS fees, right? Your GPAR fees, your office space fees, all the fees that you have in regards to real estate. Those transactions, if I rent to a $2,000 renter, that's $1,000, you know, on the split. You know, to me, if it's whatever the splits are with KW, let's say I owe KW 50%, that's $500 to me. Well, $500 after taxes, let's say it's somewhere between $350 and $450. Well, that covers at least 2 quarterly Bright payments right off the bat after taxes. And I've got that client now in my database to reach out to them. So renters really are a long-term goal. It's the most untapped resource that most agents and realtors don't even want to talk about. And again, why am I excited about renters and all the tedious work, right? 300 Bright alerts. Oy, to make $30,000? Sure, I'll do that. If you don't want to do that, I'll do it for you. Send me all of your rental leads. I'll set up Bright alerts. I'll have my team do it. I'll make 30,000. I'll tell you what, I'll give you $100 out of the 30,000. At least you're making something, right? So listen, I rented to 40 clients, right, last year as an example, right? So personal friends and stuff like that, right? I can call them quarterly, ask for referrals, invite them to client appreciation events, all that kind of stuff, and become the trusted advisor. And I can even analyze the price points of those I rented to and to find better ways of acquiring those same type of renters, right? But I can also try and analyze from the 300 pool, out of the 200 I didn't rent from, why didn't I rent for them, right? What was it about it? Was it price point? Was it something about me that said, I don't want to work with that, you know, $2,000 3-bedroom renter that's looking for Rittenhouse Square. I know it doesn't exist. Maybe what Keller Williams says is a drunk monkey. Maybe it's my shtick, right? Maybe it's something that I did that didn't allow me to further on qualify that lead. It's always something to look at and to see about how to hone in everything, right? So if I took out 50 clients and I rented to 40 of them, my closing ratio is 80%. Generated 1,000 leads last year, for example. What about the 10 clients that I took out that didn't rent, right? Those 10 clients out of the 50 that didn't rent. What about the 320 clients that I had, right, that two-way conversation with that had Bright alerts? What about the 630 leads that I never spoke to, never heard about in any way, shape, or form, but I had those Bright alerts set up for, right? 1,000 leads last year, 1,000 Bright alerts, and I rented to 40 of them, right? So let's do some numbers, right? I love numbers. Let's say the average in Philadelphia is $1,500, right? So I'm gonna do 1,500 times 40. $60,000 in commission. That's just on rentals before splits and taxes. And okay, 300 Bright alerts sounded like a lot. Now I'm saying do 1,000 Bright alerts. Oop, Bright alerts. Well, the interesting thing is that the properties that I work with and the clients, our average price point is actually, you're gonna love this, $3,400 on average because of the listings that we have. So if I do that and I multiply that, look at that commission rate, $136,000. That's just with rentals. That's not even touching buyers. And remember, I'm qualifying those rental leads so that I'm only taking those out that are most likely to rent with me. And this is an extreme process that I'm really, as much as they're interviewing me, I know that they're going on Zillow and Zumper and Mike McCann's website and everybody else out there. I know they're doing that. But I know that I've also got, a better quality, type of process to engage with them, provide them, relative, not just knowledge, but wisdom on their search. And you know, my team, we're building a rental like process, right? So when somebody signs up, we're going to give them a PDF. Here's step 1, 2, 3, 4 of what you need and what you should plan for. And here's phone numbers for Pico and all that kind of stuff, so that when you do find a property, great. It's not about if they close with me or not. I want a name, I want a phone number, and I want an email address. I want to know what they're, you know, if they're planning to move or renew, and I want to reach out to them. I want to keep in contact with them. It's not, again, not about this one transaction. It's about those 630, 320 leads, 10 clients I never took out, because next year, probabilities they're going to move or renew. And if you looked at that last chart, this move or renew, they could be in the process of moving or renewing this year, where they've already been in the property for 2 years. And now they're thinking of buying the next time they're planning to move or renew. So who knows where they are in this process. And what I mean by move or renew, they also may be potentially looking to purchase as well and to buy. So like, for example, in Philadelphia, you could get a townhouse in Fishtown, South Kensington, the Italian Market area, Fairmount, Brewerytown, that kind of stuff and have your mortgage and PITI of being $1,500, right? You could spend $1,500 and have a property you own. But if somebody's looking to rent at $1,500, you gotta ask them a question, right? Is it better to move or renew? Is it better to purchase or rent? Why are you not purchasing? If it's $1,500, you know, do you know that you could own for the same amount and have increased in, you know, profitability? You could rely on that property as being a rental, you know, if something happens to them in their job or something, they could rely back to that property to have income generating so that somebody can cover their mortgage if they lose their job. I mean, there's lots of different things that could be out there, especially in time of COVID. So it's being a trusted advisor for them. So let's see, did I get too far? Oh yeah. So I'm like, what happens to these leads? Woo, I think I just told you before looking at the slide. You can estimate actually when they need to rent next year also. Did you know that if somebody reaches out to you today is May 12th, and says, hey, I'm looking for a property, right? Just an email, without even knowing anything. On average, these people need to move 60 to 90 days, right? On average, when they reach out to an agent or realtor or Zillow, they need to move 60 to 90 days out these days. So we can actually, even if we've never talked to them, or we can estimate when they need to move next year, right? If they contact us now, May 12th, you know, they have to move in 60 to 90 days. When I put them in my system, I immediately put in a reminder, actually, May 1st, Stephanie, whatever her last name is, move or renew, May 1st, and call her in 2021. Right off the bat. I'm just, you know, like the first of every month is an insane time for me, because it's when I call all of everyone that has ever registered with me or inquired about me on the first of the month and ask them, are they planning to move or renew? And it's not only that, it's how is your life? How are you doing? What have you done, you know, in the last year? If I haven't reached out to them, you know, I haven't been a good person of following up, you know, I said, what's been going on, right? Or what new restaurants have they tried that I need to try? What are you seeing out there? For example, wouldn't it be great? Like, so my wife and I own at the Murano building, and I have a view that's looking down at the Trader Joe's parking lot. What if I were to call my leads and say, hey, you know, you guys have to go to Trader Joe's today? Look at this. I'll FaceTime video. Look at the line. I think it may be good now. Or, you know, like maybe hold off. I'm your trusted advisor now, right? For not just real estate, but for shopping maybe. But I mean, you never know, right? So find that unique angle to be able to engage, you know, with your leads and stuff like that. So you've already generated the leads. They've already come to you. You already have the bright alerts. You know what they were searching for and stuff like that. Listen, if you've never heard from anybody and you created those bright alerts, right? How do you know what price point to put in or neighborhoods to put in if you're creating these alerts if they've never talked to you? Well, if they asked, you know, for more information based on a property advertised that's at the, let's say at 1500 Locust, which is a 500 plus unit apartment building, and the one bedroom there is like $1,700. Well, you can estimate what their price range is. It's not going to be a one bedroom for $1,000, right? You'll put in a bright alert, one bedroom, maybe to a two bedroom, right? 1 to 2 bedrooms. And the price point, if they inquire about a $1,700 apartment, I'd put in probably maybe $1,450, $1,475, and going up to probably $2,000 is a good safe range, right? And in the major neighborhoods, that's close to 1,500 locusts. And I would use zip codes as just being the first thing. I'm not going to type in each individual neighborhood. I'm going to do 19102 Center City, 19103 Rittenhouse Square, 19106, 19107, 19146, 47, maybe even 19130. That gets everything. And within that range, and you're trying to hone in, and it's to elicit a first response. That's what these 90-day drip campaigns and 10 days of pain, stuff like that is for, is to get that first response. And then you can turn it off. And then you can get onto a nurture plan, an 8x8, a 33 touch, that kind of stuff later. This 90-day plan I've got for you is really to elicit a first response. And let me stop sharing my screen. There we go. My mouse is back. My mouse is back. Okay, let me stop sharing. We'll get back onto this thing. Okay, so can you guys see me still? Hopefully hear me. Okay, so yeah, so that's the class in itself, but it's really in these times because we can't physically take a client out to tour. A lot of my buildings that I have allow virtual tours and connecting with on-site leasing staff. There are people who are on-site at these larger buildings because these buildings have to run and operate by the management company, right? They have to have elevator operations. They have to have trash service and stuff like that. We can connect your clients with these buildings. And so virtual tours, not just virtual videos and just send them a video. There are actually people on site for some of these that can actually do walkthroughs and tours. So, I would say, even though we've been sheltering in place and doing our due diligence of not being out and, socially distancing ourselves and stuff like that, I've been working twice as much, twice as hard. We aren't seeing a lot of showing requests from the listing side coming in, but we are seeing an insane amount of rental leads that are being generated. So that when the ban is lifted, when real estate is considered an essential service, it's going to be an onslaught. You think we've missed spring and we've missed the summer market? What do you think when the spring and the summer market, when they've been held up and they can't do something and they're waiting to go out and sell, waiting to go out and rent, waiting to do it? You've got now 2 seasons compiled into, like the derby race. It is going to be insane. And if you don't have systems in place and the proper mindset, you'll start missing things and it'll be, inundated and stuff like that. So we are almost, we've got basically, I guess, 5 minutes left for this class. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the chat room here. Oh, people were chatting. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see this here. My eyes are so tiny, but let me just give you my, my email address to everybody. Shoot me your email, your name, email, phone number. Just shoot me an email. I'll send you out my 90-day drip campaign. And right off the bat after this class. So I'm sorry if I'm looking in the screen really close to the camera. It's hard for me to see. It's Boots. I'm a host now. Awesome. I've been hosting for a while. Okay. So everybody gave me their emails originally when I asked for it. And blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So basically, class is being recorded. Alexa will have this. She'll be able to send this out. I recorded to the team and stuff like that. But other than that, listen. I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got. I'm happy to extend over. Shoot me an email. I'll even hop on a phone call and stuff like that with you guys as well for any questions. But do you guys have any questions? That were, since this class has gone on. Do you guys see anything in the market or anything that I need to know of and that kind of stuff? I'm happy to answer anything.
I have a question. Hi, Boots.
Hi.
Thank you. I have a question. Do you find that the younger folks that are coming in, starting to move out of college or going to college and are starting to rent down, do you find that the people that you're renting to are committing to renting for much longer rather than moving from rentals to buying? I mean,
Yeah.
lately, like within the last 10 years and maybe projecting the next 10 years.
Well, I don't like going 10 years. 10 years is a lot. Like think about, at the beginning of 2019, before COVID, before anything that we ever thought about, think about what happened in the previous 10 years. A lot of stuff had happened within that time frame. And so 10 years is actually, I think, too long of a time frame to look at it. But I will say that we are seeing a trend where people are staying in apartments longer. They're renting, they're renewing more. Well, now in COVID, they're renewing more often. I would tell you that it's the uncertainty of the market in the last, I would say, 3 years that we've seen more renters staying as renters rather than buying. And for the most part, it's about jobs. You could say it's job security, what's in the market. They don't know where they're going to be, in 2 years and 3 years, if they're on a gig economy, or, if they're on they're in college and they're going for like a consulting business, with Arthur Andersen or stuff like this. They don't know where they're going to be placed when they're done, or if they're here now with SmithKline, where are they going to be in 2 years? Are they going to have to go to Jersey? Are they going to have to go, to Colorado? So yeah, we are seeing a larger rental pool stay renters. And it's not necessarily because they can't afford it, but it's because they don't know where they're going to be. So when I was talking to you guys about, a $1,500 renter versus buying for $1,500, right? Having a mortgage and everything for $1,500. One of the questions I always ask is like, how long are you planning to be in Philadelphia, right? If it's 3 to 4 years, or 4 years or longer, it is way cheaper to own than it is to rent. But if you're only going to be in Philadelphia for 2 years, or you have no idea where you're going to be, it becomes expensive, right? Because you've got movers, you've got, boxing, you've got closing costs and all that kind of stuff you have to take in consideration. So buying may not always be in the best interest of that client, especially if they don't know where they're going to be.
Right. That's a good point.
So, but I will tell you this, and I'm glad that Gaurav is not on the call, our team, the team leader and all that kind of, or owner or whatnot, which is, is it better to work with buyers or renters? I say work with renters all the time. It'll burn you out, but for good reason. Again, $1 million buyer at 3% gives you $30,000 commission. $1 million in sales volume for rentals gives you $90,000 in commissions, because 90 transactions, $1,500. I mean, you do the math. I mean, I think you saw my example of the commissions, the $30,000 commission or $160 some odd thousand commissions for 40 clients or whatever. It's insane, but renters will make you insane if you don't properly qualify them, so that you are also know that it's not you, it's them line when you take them out to see 20 properties and they don't rent with you. It's got nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's them, but in a way it's also you, because you didn't qualify them enough. If that's what they ended up doing, you didn't qualify them enough, and instill that trusted advisor status for them. So is there any other questions that I missed something regarding COVID legislation showing and using best practices may be passed by the governor next week? That is actually true. And I think there is something out there saying that, real estate may be considered essential services. And so things may be changing. I don't know. I only hope now. So my wife's a doctor, and so she runs a hospital on the weekends out in Lancaster. So, the essential services and stuff like this, like it's Philadelphia has actually an uptick in the amount of COVID cases, while where she is doesn't really see that many. So in Philadelphia, it's different than what we see in Western Pennsylvania. So when the governor is making his, proclamations or, stuff that's going on for real estate, he's got to take into account both the cities, rural and Western PA, which I also say is Pennsyltucky. If you guys are from Western Pennsylvania, that's okay. I love Western PA too. But I'm originally from Minnesota, a flyover state. So I get it. But anyways, that's about it. So we are at 1 o'clock. I've got another call at 1:15, but if there's anything else that you may have, let me know. Now, again, I sent out my email to text you guys to the email. I don't know if I have a way of so, oh, I do. I'm going to try and select all of the emails in my chat line and copy it and paste it somewhere else. And I've got it. But if you could also email me your contact information as well, that'd be great. So I can send you, some additional stuff in case I, miss it and stuff like that. So my email is boots, it's BOOT as in Tom, S as in Sam, at thecondoshops.com. And always happy to be here and to help in any way I can. So that's it. All right, guys. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming to the class, and looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you so much, Boots. This was awesome. Very informative.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Boots. Thank you.
My pleasure. See you guys.